Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off the late pick 4 at Breeders' Cup Saturday at Del Mar with race number 9. It's the mile. Let's take a look at this field. $2 million is the purse. Approximate post time 6:19. Ribchester is coming in from Europe, and Ribchester has got a very, very impressive resume, Mike. The Prix du Moulin, his performance 2 starts back, I thought was a really nice, solid effort. He showed good sort of Americanized speed. He reminded me like a little bit of a Highland Reel, how close he was to the pace. And I think that the track announcer that day called it right, saying you're kind of workmanlike in the stretch. Yeah. Whenever that runner-up came to him, he always found a little bit more, but he was never really brilliant. In the Queen Elizabeth II last time out, yet another solid performance. This horse is consistent, only off the board once in his career. Why don't I love him a lot more?
Yeah, I think we sort of look at him the same way. I mean, if you just sort of look at him on paper, he comes into the Breeders' Cup Mile having run in and won
4 Group 1 wins.
Most of the top mile races that they run in Europe. I mean, and there's really nothing to knock about him. Even the races he didn't win, the Sussex Stakes that he didn't win 3 starts back, was an absolute slog of a race course. I mean, the turf was really wet. He got in between horses late and sort of took himself out of contention. Then he tried to run again at the end, and he just missed. I mean, I'm with you. I think he's probably the horse to beat here.
I agree.
But I just don't love him. And then when you watch him run, too, it almost feels like, I like I didn't listen to the call of the race, but I guess the workman-like thing, I think that's just kind of him. He makes the front. He drifts very badly in all of his races. He doesn't look like he really likes to be in between horses either. I mean, maybe he's got some quirks, but he's pretty talented.
And in that race 2 starts back that he won, he was up and on the pace, uncovered. The story of this year's Breeders' Cup Mile should be the pace, and it should be fast. And we agree with the Timeform US pace projector. They have it as a fast pace, as you see by that red bar. And whether it's the 1 Midnight Storm or the 2 Heart to Heart, they should be going at it early.
Yeah, I mean, they got to both come out of their run. They're both drawn inside, and they're right next to each other, and they're both fast horses. And so, I mean, either one or both has to go. It'll be interesting to see how they decide to play it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm happy that they're putting Midnight Storm back on the turf because I just don't like him as a dirt horse. On the other hand, I think it might have come too late. I mean, his form just has gone the wrong way this year. And even when they went back to turf 2 starts back in the Del Mar Mile, I don't know about you, I thought he was awful in that race.
It wasn't good. And I know it was a 3-month layoff, but it was not the usual Midnight Storm performance where he was controlling the pace and he just couldn't fire late. The Awesome again, back to dirt. Okay, but not for what we were expecting from Midnight Storm in 2016 when he was reeling off triple-digit buyer after triple-digit buyer, and he at least reached 110 once in his career. We do have a positive formulator fact for his fantastic trainer, Phil D'Amato. Past 4 years, dirt to turf, 3rd off the bench, 40%, a $3.30 ROI. He's going to need a little bit of a breather. He's won 10 times, 1.7 million. He loves Del Mar, but heart to heart, he needs the lead. If he doesn't have the lead, he's not the same heart to heart. He got the lead in the Shadwell turf last time out. He was gritty, and he just got run down late by Swidois.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, he's a really good horse, too. I think you're right that he's probably at his absolute best when he can get to the front and have it his own way. But that's the real flaw in his game, isn't it? If he can't, then he doesn't seem like he can win, because while he's a good horse, he's not a strong finisher. And so when they come for him in the stretch, he fights, but he doesn't finish strong. You know, he got to the lead last time. He didn't have to go that fast. There was a
ridiculous
140 to 1 shot.
Not
Not dueling him, but just sort of pushing him along, and it was just enough for this horse not to be able to hold on, and that's the real problem with him. If he doesn't have it his own way, he tends not to hold on.
6 consecutive triple-digit buyers coming into this race, and he's never won a Grade 1. He deserves one. He's going to have to earn it here with Midnight Storm in the lineup. Here's a positive formulator fact for his trainer, Brian Lynch. 3rd off the bench, graded stake turf routes, 25%, $3.88 return on investment. World approval has just emerged as one of the better milers in the country. He has had a great season in 2017. The only hiccup coming in the Manhattan, where he just didn't fire at 1.25 miles. And I think we found out in that race, even though he won the UN last year at 1 3/8, he caught the right field to do it at 11 furlongs. 10 is just a little bit too far for him. He came back in the 4-star, Dave. He just loved that very wet turf course. Good performance. And then in the Woodbine Mile, he was up and on the pace, but there were 3 or 4 horses pushing him in, early. He kept right on rolling along to a 108 buyer speed figure, and his tactical speed has him sitting right off these 2.
Do whatever you want with him. I mean, you can ride him however you want. That's the great thing about him, and he's just one of those horses, it's a shame that you have to say it, but he's almost like a throwback horse. He's run a lot. He was a good 3-year-old, but you could tell there was more to come. They tried to make him a marathon kind of horse last year. sort of mixed results. He was fine. He's a much better horse going shorter. They found him as a miler this year. And I know that when you go back to that Woodbine Mile, you could watch that race and say that there were a lot of trips behind him. Like a lot of horses maybe didn't have the best of it in there. I don't care. This horse had the rail. He caught a good start. He went right to the front, and he always looked like he was going to win to be. That was a dominant win for this horse, and I just think he's super dangerous right back. I think I'm not way against the European we talked about before, the favorite on the morning line, but they might have this horse to beat.
One horse that might have had a trip in the Woodbine Mile, Lancaster Bomber, in behind horses for most of the stretch. He came out late. He was second best to world approval. I'm not going to hold that last race against him, 40-1 in the Group 1, Queen Elizabeth II over soft going. My problem is, and he's run 2 good races in North America, second in the BC Juvenile Turf last year, he is still eligible for a non-winners at 2 life.
Yeah, and you know, listen, I get it. He was wide in that Woodbine Mile while world approval controlled it from the inside, and he did his best, but he was only second best in there. And then when you start sort of picking apart his European form, it's fine, but I think it pays to remember that this horse has spent most of his career being a pace setter for Churchill. I mean, he's running all these Group 1 races not to try and win them, to try and help one of his stablemates win them. He's a pretty good horse. I don't like him in this race.
Sway Dwa came rolling through the stretch at Keeneland to win his North American debut, the Grade 1 Shadwell Mile, at close to 10-1 odds. I'm not a big proponent in the Euro bounce, but I do wonder if that was the peak race for him.
That's a valid point. I guess you're right. I didn't think about the Euro bounce, but they just tend to run well the first time over and then not back it up, and we'll see. It's also worth pointing out he was good last time. I liked his win.
Very good.
Had a very good trip.
Balo Rocks finished 3rd in that race. I really liked him. I thought he was going to come with a big run in the stretch, and it looked like he had it, and he just came up a little bit short for trainer Bill Mott. This is his second start off of a layoff. Listen, 4 out of his last 5 races have resulted in triple-digit buyer speed figures. I'm not sure what I think completely about Balo Rocks. Like his tactical speed, like that he can be forward. He's not going to be forward in here, but he can come from off of it. Wasn't he supposed to get it done last time?
Yeah, he had a really good trip, and he had a shot at it. I like him as a horse. I think he's good. I also think he's a cup below these horses.
Roly Poly won the Group 1 Sun Chariot. This horse has won 3 Group 1s out of her last 4 races. Not bad for a 3-year-old filly, starting 16 times in her career. Talk about a throwback, and she beat an OK1 and Persuasive last time out. Where does she fit in this race for Aidan O'Brien?
I think she fits very well in this race. She did not draw a good post on the outside from post 12, so we'll see what happens as far as the trip is concerned. But there's no denying how much she has improved so far this year. As a 3-year-old, she's found herself at a mile. She's running some really top races over there, and she's won them. She's a good horse.
Miserable post for Carrara and Frankie Dettori on the outside. I like this one better at shorter distances.
I do too, and you know, obviously you're right. Post 14 did him no favors.
Blackjack Cat, boy, has he done great work for Mark Glatt. He's won his last 4 races, 2 of them at Del Mar, the 2 fastest races of his career at Del Mar. My problem with him is he likes to be forward. He probably is going to be trying to sit 3rd along with world approval, 3rd and 4th. Can he keep up with that fast pace and then keep on going, holding off the Ribchesters of the world?
I don't know. I mean, it's a tougher test for him. He's a Grade 2 winner, but that Grade 2 field that he beat wasn't nearly as strong. Listen, this isn't a vintage Breeders' Cup Mile, but it's a way stronger field than that. If anybody can get him the right trip from post 13, it's Kent. But I don't know if it's going to be enough.
I kind of feel the same way about Home of the Brave as I do with Carrara. Might be a notch below Group 1 status, and the mile a little bit too far.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't like his recent form is fine. He's doing the best that he can, but this might be too tough.
Ohm ran a big race last year in the Turf Sprint on Breeders' Cup weekend, but he had an electric pace and a really nice ride to work with under Gary Stevens. Since then, it's been your usual Ohm, right there at the wire, but a bridesmaid.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the races he's been running. He's right there every time, but he can't seem to get it done.
Can you make a case for Zelzal as a bit of a long shot Group 1 winner back in July of 2016? Hasn't gotten to that form yet, but this is a horse, soft turf in his last couple of races. If you go back to the race 3 starts back on firm going, it was his first start of the year off of a long layoff. He ran okay, getting firm ground, getting Lasix. I'll use this horse underneath.
Yeah, I think I will too. I mean, I spent a long time the other night just really trying to talk myself into him. He ran some really good races last year, and you're right about his last 2. soft turf. Maybe it didn't help him all that much. His race off the layoff, while I thought he ran really well in there, he really had a big pace to run into. He came running through the stretch. He couldn't get there. That's sort of been his running style over there. They take him back and they let him make one run.
Mr. Roary's a cool horse. He won at 1.25 miles earlier this year on the lead, and he won the Grade 3 Eddie D at 6.5 furlongs last time out, coming from off the pace. This horse usually outruns his odds. You gotta like his versatile running style. I wonder if this is just too tough.
Yeah, I think they're probably just taking a shot here. Hopefully it works out for them to at least get something.
Pick time for the Breeders' Cup Mile. First leg of the late pick 4 at Del Mar on Saturday. We're both going to go with World Approval. We've both been very impressed with him since he's cut back to the mile, and we think he gets that stalking trip off this fast pace.
Yeah, I mean, I just like him. I like everything he's done this year, and I don't love the Europeans that sent over for this race, and I think he has a real chance to win.
Mike's going 5, 10, 12, and 6. I'm going 5, 4, 6, and 10 in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Mile. Race number 9 at Del Mar on Saturday with an approximate post of 3:19 Pacific. Good luck.